Hi, I'm John Townsend, and we're here again at historic Gunston Hall. I've got Michael Twitty here, the culinary historian.
How's everybody?
And we're going to be doing a Kush, which is a cornbread hash. Thanks for joining us today on 18th Century Cooking. So Kush, that sounds really interesting. I have no idea what Kush is. Give me an idea.
Okay, so the word itself comes from Islamic West Africa.
Okay.
Where the word kusha, kush is the same thing as couscous, right?
Yeah.
It's any grain food, in small little pellets portions. And so we believe that this particular dish came from Senegambia, which is the region of Senegal, Gambia, and the hinterlands into Mali in West Africa. And it involves taking day-old cornbread, and scrambling it, frying it with onions and herbs and spices. It's kind of like an open-faced hash version of southern cornbread stuffing.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the grandmother dish of that dish. So we're going to take some onions, saute them in butter. And part of the reason why I'm taking some of the herbs and putting them in with the onion is so that they kind of rehydrate a little bit.
Yeah, because these are all dried.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of sage, a little bit of rosemary, a little bit of thyme in there. And I'll put a little red pepper in there. Pinch of our kitchen pepper.
So this was normally made with cornbread?
Yep, cornbread made with white cornmeal and nothing else. Maybe water and a little bit of salt.
Okay. But what we've got here is anadama bread, or what do you call it?
Anadama bread.
Anadama bread, okay. So what we've got here is a cornbread, or corn and flour mixed, and it's raised with yeast instead of that, that standard cornbread. But it's really similar to the thirded cornbread called Ryan Indian bread. So there's a bunch of these kind of similar breads that are available in the 18th and 19th century. So what are we going to do with this one?
Just break it up, and we're going to add some of it to the mixture of onions and herbs and spices and scramble it in spatter.
If you're interested in the thirded bread or the Ryan Indian bread, you can make sure to go, and I'll put a link down in the description section of this video, and you can check out that video that we've done earlier this year at Conner Prairie where we made that bread.
Now for enslaved people, this would have been one of the simplest ways to make use of any sort of cornbread, and it made it really tasty. It's referred often to in the slave narratives, and it's probably a very old dish given the African name. If you go to Louisiana, folks in Louisiana will know the name kush, because that's a type of cornmeal, kind of like porridge, that you eat for breakfast. It's gonna saute on the hearth, and you get to taste it in about 10 minutes.
Wonderful. Okay, Michael, I see you're adding a little chicken broth to moisten this up, and you're just going to let it simmer?
Right, exactly.
It looks wonderful. It smells great, just like stuffing is supposed to smell.
Awesome.
Probably even better. And let's find out what it tastes like. Perfect medley of flavors. And a great texture. I love the cornbread in here. It's so good. This is what you expect to taste, and it's wonderful, wonderful
Now
stuff.
we use butter, but technically a lot of times it would have been pork fat.
Sure.
But when I make this for big dinners, and I make all kind of expensive, interesting things, this is the dish that everybody wants a recipe for. It's the cheapest to make.
Right.
Yeah.
The most closely linked with
enslaved people and the kind of make-do cuisine that became soul food. And I think that speaks volumes to the heart that goes into this dish.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, I really want to thank Michael for bringing this dish so good, so wonderful, and easy, inexpensive. Wow, really, really good. Thank you so much for bringing this one to us. And I want to thank everyone out there for coming along with us as we experiment, we try these things, we learn about history and these wonderful connections. Thank you so much for joining us while we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. I want to thank everyone there at Gunston Hall for their wonderful help with this series. If you're interested in Gunston Hall, make sure to check out their website.